Dark Schneider's booster is much more powerful in-game than it is in this cutscene. Either that, or Deathborn is only using the accelerator at that moment to catch up to someone that he is chasing. Why he isn't going at full speed is anyone to guess. Either scenario is sinful. There goes an inconsistent booster again.
This guy seriously gave 3 sins for something completely arbitrary and missed the entire point of the opening scene. Here, we clearly see Deathborn's objective is not just to overtake Black Shadow, but to side attack him off the road. If this guy actually played the game, he would know that boosting the side attack is tricky to pull off because you risk zooming past your opponent completely. If anything, what should be sin-worthy about this scene is that Dark Schneider is being depicted as much stronger than Black Bull in this scenario, when it actually has a lower effective boost strength, acceleration, and top speed due to its drag. However, the fact that Deathborn shows such fine control of his booster as to do it in small enough bursts to line up perfectly for his side attack is actually a really impressive feat, and not being able to notice that is worth just as many sins as this fool has given up to this point.
Man, the Black Bull's body got nerfed in this game. Oh wait.
Actually, a well-placed side attack will one-shot any car in GX. Even Fat Shark. Did you even play the game?
Nope, Black Shadow is dead. The cockpit sliding against the road at high speed should put glass shards all over his face, and the drama for flying around during the crash should hurt him too.
We have no idea what safety features F-Zero machines might have. Use a little imagination.
He survives this.
Double jeopardy.
After getting thrown around in the cockpit and blown up, Black Shadow walks out with just a hurt shoulder. Just walk off, man.
Triple jeopardy. Come on, man.
Wait!
The subtitles read help, when you can clearly hear him saying wait.
One more chance is all you get to win this F-Zero Grand Prix, or...
If Deathborn is fully aware that Black Shadow lost a previous Grand Prix, then what makes him think that he'll win this time?
Counter question, who can Deathborn turn to in order to win the Grand Prix for him without revealing himself to someone who doesn't already know him? I mean, he probably doesn't want anyone to know him who doesn't already know him.
Also, this is what happens when you eat too many Altoids at once.
Making something up just to add a pointless sin to the counter without actually criticizing anything.
Is this a popular spot for F-Zero pilots to watch TV? There isn't a single other place in Mute City, the future's New York City, to watch a broadcast? Also, who is Camera?
This question can easily be answered with just a little imagination. The scene is likely being filmed by futuristic camera drones, and Black Shadow probably wants the publicity so he can lure Falcon into his trap.
What are those miniature TVs for?
They're likely another product for sale. Again, use a little imagination, please.
Okay, so does no one notice Captain Falcon walking down the alley? In this world, F-Zero pilots are as popular as rock stars, so shouldn't there be hordes of paparazzi and or fans following him? Also, we see the world from Captain Falcon's perspective, and we see quite a few people looking right at him. You can't tell me that no one notices him walking down this alley. From third-person perspective, we see Falcon walking in front of the other pilots who are watching Black Shadow, but once we get into first-person perspective, we see that he's walking behind the pilots instead. Also, Captain Falcon isn't Falcon punching anyone in this scene.
Criticizing a character for not doing something they have no reason to do.
Falcon always comes out on top, no matter what.
Who built Falcon's secret base? How does he pay for the lights and heating and such? I know he's a bounty hunter, but we have yet to see him doing any sort of bounty hunting in the games.
His bounty hunting is a background activity, and in arcade racers that are focused on, well, racing, there's no reason to show him actually bounty hunting. However, we can assume that his income is more than enough to pay for whatever he needs. Furthermore, he is canonically the winner of the previous Grand Prix, so that is likely even more money in his wallet. Also, who the heck cares who built his base? The character is meant to be mysterious. There's not meant to be any answers to these questions. That's what makes him cool.
I know that this whole thing was a simulation, but are we really supposed to believe that this exhaust didn't do anything to the metal while receiving it? Yeah, it's on right here. It doesn't have a single hint that it melted at all from it. Probably the 27th century metal that does it.
If you could answer your own question, why did you add the sin?
In case you confuse it with Eardrum Shattering City.
Yet another pointless send that doesn't actually have anything to criticize. Also, event posters have to mention the city that the event is taking place in.
This time, the prize will be mine.
The lip syncing in this audio clip is off. You'd think that in the 27th century, this kind of issue wouldn't be an issue. At the rate that these bandits are falling down the cliff, and given how steep the cliff is, these guys should be tumbling instead of sliding, and sustaining multiple fractures and brain injuries.
Suspension of disbelief is a thing, you know. I'm sure they knew what they were doing.
You stole the prize money from us last time. You will pay for that.
Actually, why does Falcon lower his cockpit here? Also, why doesn't he just boost into the bandits? Are their weapons actually strong enough to hurt the Blue Falcon? F-Zero machines can tank landmines as long as they have enough energy, so what are those puny guns going to do? There are any number of ways Falcon could have avoided having to put up with this encounter in the first place, and the guy should have noticed this.
These bandits sure do get excited when any given thing happens. It's a good thing we don't have to see their reactions when Samurai Goro has to use the bathroom.
Gratuitous and kind of vulgar.
Also, Captain Falcon isn't Falcon punching anyone in this scene.
Can't argue with you this time. This is the most annoying mission 2 in video game history, I think.
Couldn't Captain Falcon just back up? His machine is turned on, so he can do that to avoid getting his neck cut. And if he can't back up, that means that F-Zero machines don't have a reverse gear? The f***?
Do you see reverse thrusters in that thing? Didn't think so. Also, you can't reverse in any of the games either, so this lines up. Also, language.
Let's do it.
No. Samurai Goro, no one with as big as butt of yours can perform acrobatics like that.
Alright then, the first one to that checkpoint over there is the winner.
How did Samurai Goro know that Falcon would be driving through Red Canyon to set up this whole race?
The course is probably set up so they can ambush anyone passing through, not just Falcon specifically. Again, use a little imagination.
Suddenly, Fire Stingray.
Ever heard of a jump cut?
Just where was he keeping his machine the whole time? Did it magically show up, or did Goro pull it out of his ass? That would explain why it was so big back here, but that's also really gross. I know that Japan can be weird, but this seems like something that's really tame compared to Japan's norm. Either scene is sinful though.
Gratuitous and kind of vulgar.
I can't lose in my Fire Stingray.
Can I, as a non-bandit, ask something? If Goro's machine is as good as he claims it is, then why does he need Captain Falcon's Blue Falcon? We already know that the Fire Stingray's max speed is much higher than the Blue Falcon, so does he really think that he'll get anything out of this?
Well, gee, I don't know. Maybe depriving your greatest rival, who has beaten you before, of his machine, which has beaten you before, would offer a great advantage in, say, an upcoming Grand Prix. Just a thought.
Delayed explosion reaction. Mighty Gazelle sure does move swiftly for a cyborg. Maybe it's a 27th century metal again.
Guy has never seen RoboCop.
Not to mention answering your own question, but still adding the sin.
What a scam! That's a 2 million space credits! Ha!
Don't worry, Silver. You can always enter the Grand Prix and get your money back. Oh.
Adding a sin without criticizing anything. Again.
No way in the laws of physics could that coin be able to roll after flipping uncontrollably through the air.
It's called suspension of disbelief. Just because something is improbable doesn't mean it's impossible.
The next race is going to start!
Gee, Silver Nielsen sure moves quite swiftly for a 98-year-old.
Indeed, it's not like he drives the Night Thunder, an F-Zero machine that's known for being supersonic. Oh, wait a minute, that's what he does.
Also, is there anyone in this game that doesn't move spastically when they make any sort of movements? Did Silver really think that by dressing up Falcon as a New Orleans clown fool anybody into thinking that he wasn't Captain Falcon?
Yes. Yes, he did. He's a silly 98-year-old man. Give him a break, dude.
Also, Captain Falcon isn't Falcon punching anyone in this scene.
Spoken like a true Smash casual.
Yeah, because no one, not even the racers, will be able to recognize the Blue Falcon. Okay, here's why this plan is so flawed and wouldn't work. Captain Falcon is extremely popular in this world, and people would certainly know that he pilots the Blue Falcon too. The reason why Silver disguised him is because having everyone bet on the same pilot would lead to everyone else betting on him and getting almost no monetary gain from the wager. You would think that Falcon and Nielsen would be called out on it when he uses his machine during the bet race. Hell, even the sign of the building uses the Blue Falcon as its logo. Are we really supposed to believe that Silver and Falcon get away with this?
Well, you're right, but mentioning the Blue Falcon twice is double jeopardy, so we'll just call it even and not remove a sin.
But who is Camera?
You've asked this question before, and you're still wrong.
Also, the fact that this song used during this chapter has never been released as a downloadable MP3 is a sin in of itself.
That also applies to every other chapter's music.
The gangs.
No, Michael Chang should be roadkill right now.
Who says he should be? He clearly knows what he's doing.
Also, Captain Falcon isn't Falcon punching anyone in this scene.
Falcon is currently driving at a rate of speed in which bailing off his car to attack isn't the best thing to do right now.
At the speed that these guys are traveling at, Michael's chain should be flying around all over his face. How many of the gang members try to stop Falcon? I counted 11, but once the gameplay starts, that number jumps to 29, including Michael. In this chapter, the player has to take out Michael's machine in order to successfully complete the mission, but here the wild boar looks like it's brand new. The f***?
Language.
Also, the amount of gang members drops back to 11 in this cutscene. That's consistent with what this chapter started out with, but not with how many were in the game. Those machines don't look wrecked either, which is something you have to do in order to get the energy needed to catch up to Michael Chang.
In the legal system, that's what we call a double jeopardy. You can't blame the game for one mistake twice.
Are you alright?
Jody's still inside the building!
For someone who has a huge crush on Jodie Summer, you would think that John Tanaka would sound much more concerned and panicked than that.
Are you kidding me, dude? He just said, Jody is still inside the building! What more do you want from him?
Wait there.
No way did John hear Falcon say that. His cockpit is closed, and he's spitting off when he says it. Also, Captain Falcon isn't Falcon punching anyone in this scene.
And who is there to punch, exactly?
There's a jump feature on that machine? During the races, that's not an option by Will. And there wasn't a jump pad on the road either. Something crucial is missing from this equation.
Cutscenes do not equal gameplay.
Jody!
Scene does not contain a lap dance.
You seem to have forgotten the place is about to blow. There's no time for M-rated fun.
Considering how Captain Falcon and Jodie Summer are siblings in the F-Zero GP Legend anime, that's a good thing. You know what? I'll call this one even.
Anime canon is not the same as game canon.
Jody!
Anytime you need to be rescued, I'll call Captain Falcon to do the job for me.
John Tanaka was not 100% where Falcon met him. You don't think he'd have been asking for help if he was fine, do you?
Captain Falcon isn't Falcon punching anyone in this scene. And this would be the most logical and opportune time to do so.
Falcon, you've come to die.
The way that Black Shadow says this makes it sound as if he's making a statement instead of asking a yes or no question. The subtitles think otherwise for some reason. Falcon, it's raining. Don't you think you should close your cockpit so that your electronic dashboard doesn't get fried? We see that Black Shadow's using magic powers, and it gives Captain Falcon plenty of time to avoid it, but instead, he just watches. Why isn't Black Shadow a playable character in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U yet? DLC, please!
Complaining about something that's completely irrelevant to the game itself.
What are you doing?
Good God, this line needed some work on the enunciation.
I can understand it perfectly well. Not only that, it conveys that Falcon is suddenly in a lot of pain. It honestly has a pretty scary effect.
Suddenly, speed-sensitive bomb.
Guy has never heard of a jump cut.
We see the Black Shadow with the Black Bullet in his shop, but are now nowhere to be found in the following one.
These are my favorite kinds of sins because they're actually composed from proper observance. But in this case, I think the black bull is simply absent because it's over to the right and genuinely out of the camera's field of vision.
This is a really cool scenario, really, but what sort of highway is this?
This is the same highway where Falcon met Black Shadow at. It's not that confusing.
Assholes.
Hey, watch your mouth, punk!
Complaining about the way predictable traffic moves in a mission that's all about avoiding predictable traffic.
Also, if these are civilians, then why are they only trying to evacuate after the power plant and lightning area blew up?
Probably traffic congestion is what made these civilians start to flee later than they expected.
Wait, so this highway has an inverted section too?
You're sinning that particular part of the highway like you've never played any other tracks in this game. What was the thought process when making this pointless sin?
Wait a goddamn minute! If this is a civilian highway, they would end up evacuating towards a dead end. There weren't any forks in the road either, so they had nowhere else to go. And if this road was exclusively made for cargo delivery, then they would be going nowhere either.
Guy who complains about script not matching exactly what is being said has subtitles that don't match exactly what he says. What's funnier is you can tell he accidentally said, wouldn't be going nowhere, which is a double negative, paid enough attention to edit his mistake, but then didn't change the subtitles to reflect what he meant to say. Amazing!
You could tack on a bunch of sins to this one scenario and walk away confidently knowing that you did your job well.
Multi-sending without pointing out the specific reasons for each individual one.
Making the producers do math in order to figure out what the final total would be after this.
He might not even be right about the dead end. In the chaos of fleeing, I can actually see how a group of unfortunate civilians might have accidentally picked the highway that happened to still be under construction. But I just won't add another sin and call it even.
Now is not a good time for an orgasm, Falcon.
Gross. Also, that's not what he's doing and you know it.
Deus ex crania.
That crane hook was already sitting there way before Falcon ran into it. Definitely not a Deus Ex Machina moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, the contestants. The high-flying medico, Dr. Stewart.
Wasn't Dr. Stewart's hair color brown? Why is it blonde in this cutscene?
The hitman who flies at the speed of sound, Pico.
Yeah, this guy's a wanted hitman, so let's let him race anyways.
The Japanese warrior, Samurai Goro.
Jeez, on top of being really racist, F-Zero spectators are dicks to Samurai Goro.
Bold accusation to make when there are plenty of reasons to dislike Goro. He's a known space pirate for one. Also, he positions himself antagonistically to the much more popular Captain Falcon. It is a little unfair to him, but it makes plenty of sense in the world building.
The Emperor of Brutality, Black Shadow.
Another wanted high-profile criminal. Let's let him race anyways too. The machines such as the Wild Boar, Bloodhawk, and Little Wyvern are missing in this shot, but in the bird's eye view, they magically reappear. Also, Captain Falcon isn't Falcon punching anyone in this scene.
Now you're just asking Falcon to act unsportsmanlike by destroying somebody else's machine in front of millions of spectators. While he can technically destroy Black Bull during the race, doing so before, that's straight up unsportsmanlike behavior.
In other words,
It's the coward's way.
Blue Falcon and Black Bull are replaced by the Queen Meteor and Mad Wolf respectively in this shot, for some reason. The Mighty Hurricane is replaced by the Hyper Speeder in this shot as well. F***, this cutscene must have been made by a bunch of animators that hate each other.
well, you're right, but language. We'll call it even.
We see that Captain Falcon and Black Shadow start out in 6th and 7th place, but drop all the way down to 28th and 30th in gameplay. I know that this race is scripted, but shouldn't they still be in 6th and 7th place in-game?
Certainly would have made that mission easier.
Where did all the other racing machines go? Did Captain Falcon really park the Blue Falcon in the middle of the track, not taking into account that no other racer would consider using their brakes? In any other racing game that I've played, the racers keep on going until you see the results and then press start to prompt it to the following race.
Except in story mode missions, we see the Blue Falcon brake once the race is over. It can also be assumed that some sort of safety signal would be in place to instruct the other racers to stop. Never hurts to imagine things like this in these sorts of scenarios.
Black Shadow, you failed again. You good for nothing.
Forgive me, Lord Death.
Where does Deathborn send his victims? I know he has a machine in his body that transports anyone he doesn't like into space, but where exactly in space? We also don't know if there's a limit to how many vagabonds he can send into space at a time, but if it's as easy as the developers make it sound, then HBO must be f***ed.
None of these questions matter, and none of them reveal any mistakes or flaws. Also, language.
Surely, as champion, you have to accept.
And no f***s were given by the newscasters during that event.
Language. Also, the crowd was likely left speechless by Deathborn's sudden appearance, and the camera fades to black before the race announcer has a chance to say anything about what just happened, which is just as well, because it probably would have been distracting anyways. Imagine this scene, but with a huge commotion in the background, making it hard to hear what Deathborn's trying to say. That would probably be sin-worthy in of itself.
Most useless sign ever.
Yeah, I don't even know what that sign could mean.
What sort of light was used to make Captain Falcon have to cover his eyes? He's going underground.
Given there's bright lava and fire raging just beyond, it's likely from that. Also, the fact that the track has no visible exit or entrance onto itself suggests this could likely even be a portal of some kind. Again, say it with me now. Use a little imagination, please!
Dark and light, the two great forces which make up our universe.
Well, there's water, and wind, and earth. I'm pretty sure there are elements on the periodic table that also make up our universe too.
I said earth, wind, and fire in the wrong order. Deathborn didn't mention elements, he mentioned universal forces. Deathborn is positing that the F-Zero universe, separate from our own because it's fiction, is essentially made up of darkness and light when you boil it all down. And of course, without living in that universe, we have no way to know if he's right or wrong about that.
These two universal forces are condensed in each of our belts.
But why?
Sometimes a little mystery is good every now and again. And besides, the Champions belts being this way provide this really cool duality between Deathborn and Captain Falcon. Captain Falcon being the champion of the overworld, and Deathborn being the champion of the underworld Grand Prix.
At the moment when the two forces become one, it is possible to seize that power. Then I can turn this whole galaxy into a pile of ashes in an instant.
When a nihilist.
That's not what nihilism is. Nihilism is just a belief that life is meaningless and the rejection of all moral principles. It is not the same as the active desire to destroy the universe. Also, this counts as adding a sin without actually having anything to criticize.
Not if I can help it. I'll destroy you yet. Let's go.
By Falcon punching you and sending you off the... Oh, wait, you meant by a race. Okay.
But then there'd be no race in a racing game. Also, Deathborn could very likely just bring out his teleport bonker on Falcon, so it's probably just as well that he's even allowing Falcon the opportunity to race him for the fate of the universe at all.
Also, Captain Falcon isn't Falcon punching Deathborn in this scene.
What did we say about Double Jeopardy? You already mentioned the freaking Falcon punch for the umpteenth time in this video.
He's already died 3 times. I'm sure he'll be okay.
Yet again, adding a sin without finding anything to criticize.
So, were those two belts constantly gyrating around each other the whole time?
Yes. Yes, they were. And why is this a sin?
Has Captain Falcon ever used his pistol before?
In the original comics, yes.
What was that sigh for? What can you possibly be complaining about now?
Tell you the truth, there are no universal forces.
So if you created Deathborn to believe that there were, why?
To create conflict and give the two greatest F-Zero champions of all time a dramatic reason to race? For fun? Why does a god do anything? Use a little imagination, please.
We'll take out your soul from your body and turn it into our creation.
Well, this is just a cheap way for the developers to insert their own selves into the game.
Is there anything that could have been as terrifying as racing against the devs themselves on a wall-less Rainbow Road style track? Didn't think so.
Come off it. You think you can beat me? No way!
Falcon, these guys are practically gods. Do you really believe you can talk high and mighty towards them?
Let's quote Falcon himself on this.
You don't win by being lucky. You win by being bold.
Also, Captain Falcon isn't Falcon punching anyone in this scene.
Have you actually tried to punch a ghost?
So, should he be respectful and fearful of these beings, or should he be boldly Falcon punching them? Make up your mind!
Yeah, bow down to your new god, Captain Falcon.
Tell me, what is wrong with this scene? What is wrong with the fact that Falcon just innocently won against the final fight? What is wrong about this?
Oh, snap! They did mention the Falcon punch in this game.
Then, by your own logic, you should be adding a sin because he never actually used it.
It looks like a gazelle leaping across the plains of the savannah, doesn't it?
No.
Ever heard of a simile?
My muscles hurt from laughing, even though I don't have muscles anymore.
Self-contradicting much?
My spin attack got rid of those bad-mannered troublemakers.
You and Link should have a discussion about naming conventions.
Claiming two different EPs aren't allowed to have similar attacks.
I'm on fire!
Baba, two over-stereotyped characters for the price of one.
Are you really the boss of a gang of thieves?
Letting the subtitles linger too long here and wasting the editor precious time.
Yes, I am!
And no cops show up.
We heard that you're a professional hitman.
Anyone you want taken care of, just let me know.
And no cops show up either.
Well, it might not make sense, but at least the world building's consistent. Give the game credit for at least that.
I know that I should have mentioned this beforehand, but Captain Falcon sounds nothing like Captain Falcon.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like, your opinion, man.
The Blue Falcon is the fastest machine on the circuit.
The Black Bull and Fat Shark disagree.
In competitive time attack? Sure. But in the game's world, his point still stands since he's already a champion of the previous F-Zero Grand Prix and can beat everybody else any day.
You don't win by being lucky. You win by being bold.
I'm looking at you, Mario Kart.
Adding a sin after complimenting the game instead of removing one.
Listen to that crowd. Do you have anything to say to them? Yeah! Thanks for your words of enthusiasm, champion.
I would say that Mr. Zero's response should have been singular instead of plural in regards to the amount of words used, but that would be extremely nitpicky. Instead, what I will say is, that was some half-assed enthusiasm that came with Falcon's answer.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like, your opinion, man.
What's the most important requirement for a racer?
Heart.
There's also awareness, good reaction time, among other things.
And yet, Falcon only mentions heart because that's simply what he values more.
Where did all those youngsters come from?
But if you look closely, the moment you select a question, the youngsters are spawned in. At least give the game credit for that level of attention to detail.
Do androids have emotions?
Of course, when I think of how my brother was recycled as my racing car.
Even when the company went into Android production, Nintendo was still addicted to Luigi. Money-obsessed monkey.
I didn't know characters weren't allowed to have characterization anymore.
What was the key to your victory?
I tampered with the other racers' machines.
Cheating.
See my previous point.
You've been inundated with requests to appear on TV.
You've heard that? Then tell me why they only want me on comedy shows.
Yeah, it confuses me too, buddy.
What have you learned since you died?
Living is not all there is to life. When you die, you know what I mean.
Thanks for your words of enthusiasm, champion.
I fail to see how those are words of enthusiasm.
The skull is basically confirming that existence persists beyond death, and that would probably be very encouraging to hear for anyone with anxiety about their death. There's an afterlife.
The Green Panther never lets me down.
Does the Green Panther never give you up too?
Adding a sin without finding anything to criticize. Also, that Rickroll joke wasn't really funny here, don't at me.
Super Arrow knows not the word impossible.
Saturday morning cartoons.
No! You can't just diss Saturday morning cartoons like that! They were the best thing!
Shio throws Gomar high into the sky, but Gomar comes right back as if he was on the ground the whole time. Blood Falcon is the only one using any sort of punch. Captain Falcon should know better than to let his clone take his role of Falcon punching.
Language.
Do you have any secrets you'd like to share with us?
Falcon, I'm not the only copy of you.
Yeah, he's named Ganondorf.
Complaining about something that's completely irrelevant to the game itself. Again.
Nice.
Are people not allowed to scratch the backs of their heads anymore?
Where did Dr. Clash teleport off to?
This is a victory for evil.
What?
This is a victory for evil.
Jesus, his voice is hilarious.
Sending a voice line that had that much charm to it.
Also, the interview answer for his rivals was cut out in the North American localized version. His response was going to be, "I will send you straight to hell. It'll be painless, I promise you." Blood Falcon can talk about killing cops all day.
The Galactic Space Federation will try to have you arrested.
Keep count of how many of them I kill.
But if someone uses the word hell, there's no way it can show up in the American version. The fucking shit.
Well, hell is considered profanity, and the game was not targeting a T rating, but got it anyway for other reasons. In Europe, the game is PEGI 3, and in Japan, the CERO rated it all ages. That should tell you something. Also, language.
Discount Kingpin. Digiboy.
Adding a sin by just saying the character's name and not elaborating.
That's racist. If he does that thing with his fingers once again, I'm going to flip.
Getting offended by the way a magician moves his hands.
PJ.
Adding a sin by just saying the character's name and not elaborating. Again! Like, what is wrong with PJ? Or Digiboy for that matter? Like, what are you complaining about? Elaborate!
Discount Wally.
Wally wasn't even a thing in 2003.
The same power that will enable me to control the world.
So do you want to dominate the world, or do you want to destroy it? Make up your mind.
Maybe what he meant all along was that the power to destroy the universe is what he would use to control it.
Where's my autograph?
It's a cool character moment for him to flat out refuse giving you one. Chill, dude.
How did Silver Nielsen catch up to him?
You would understand why Nielsen caught him off guard if you included the whole cutscene instead of cutting to the chase.
How could the baby have gotten onto the tracks in the first place? Stop posing and save the baby already!
Well, you're right, but language. We'll call it even.
Nintendo created a world where people could be sexually attracted to an octopus. No judgments, I'm just saying that's the world we live in right now.
You say no judgment, but your addition of a sin says otherwise.
Also, stupid sexy Octoman.
Oh, you just need to get over your
anti-octopus feelings.
You forgot to press R twice.
Adding a sin by just making a joke without criticizing anything.
So, Zoda essentially used his prize money on an evil Mr. EAD?
Yes, why not?
Also, that should have crushed and killed him. Yeah, I remember the days when mini-mobs broke out and attacked the husband of a supermodel.
It's not even sinful, really. It's just kind of funny, but in an awkward way.
What exactly is Blood Falcon headbanging to?
His theme music, which is playing in the background of the cutscene.
Oh, please. It's not like we wanted to see those nipple buttons in the first place. That's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, well, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Well, someone is going to fire their delivery man.
This isn't even sinful, it's just funny.
This little shit nearly killed his own dad.
Criticizing a character for just being themselves.
Fan service.
Worked for Fire Emblem, didn't it?
It did, but the editor believes his point still stands.
F-Zero TV.
Thinking that this end screen would save him from our fury.
ブラックシャドウ、地獄の道行きはどうやらお前と私になりそうだ。
キャプテンファルコン！
ファルコンを超えた者だけがファルコンになれる。ユースザク、今日から君がキャプテンファルコンだ。私は死なんぞ。ファルコンアーム！
キャプテンファルコン！